The laughter hit me first, sharp, cruel, echoing off the restaurant's glossy marble walls. It sliced through the low hum of jazz music and the clinking of silverware, cutting straight into me. I froze with my hand still halfway to my glass. "Worthless," she said again, grinning as her friends roared with laughter. "Completely useless when it comes to anything romantic. Right, babe." Her tone was sugar-coated poison. I looked at her, Amber, my girlfriend of 3 years. She sat there in her burgundy dress, her long brown hair curled to perfection, one manicured hand draped lazily over her wine glass. The same hand I'd once held through sleepless nights, when we'd talked about building a life together. Her friends, 5 of them all polished, loud and tipsy, watched me like I was some kind of joke on display. I managed a smile I didn't feel. "Guess I'm not as funny as you, Amber." She rolled her eyes and leaned back in her chair. "Oh, come on, don't be dramatic. Just a joke. Loosen up a little." The laughter resumed and something inside me, quietly, invisibly, cracked. I didn't say another word. I grabbed my jacket from the back of the chair, stood up and walked out. The last thing I heard was one of her friends whispering, "Wow, he's actually mad." Outside, the winter air punched me in the chest. I sucked in a shaky breath, the cold burning my throat. Neon lights from the restaurant's sign flickered across the pavement. I could still hear their laughter echoing in my head, mocking, relentless. It wasn't the first time she'd embarrassed me. But tonight it felt different. Final. Amber called me twice that night. I didn't answer. The next morning she showed up at my apartment, all fake tears and trembling lips. "Ethan, you're overreacting," she said, following me into the kitchen like a shadow. "It was a joke. Everyone was drinking. You know I didn't mean it. You called me worthless in front of your friends." She crossed her arms. "Because you made me look stupid last week, remember? When you bailed on dinner with my boss. You never show up when I need you." There was her favorite trick, turning everything back on me. "I told you," I said slowly. "My mother was in the hospital that night." She scoffed. "And she's fine now, isn't she? God, you're always so sensitive." I stared at her. The woman I thought I loved. The woman I thought loved me back. I didn't recognize her anymore. When she finally left, she slammed the door hard enough to rattle the frame. For the next few days I tried to push the whole thing out of my head. I buried myself in work, forced myself to sleep early, avoided checking her social media. But by Friday night, curiosity, and something uglier, darker, got the better of me. I opened Instagram. Amber had posted a picture from that same restaurant. She was in the same dress, same table, but I wasn't in the frame. Instead, sitting next to her, smiling with his arm behind her chair, was Nathan, her so-called business partner. I'd met him once before. Too charming, too confident, too familiar with her. He'd shaken my hand with a grin that said he already knew something I didn't. The caption under the photo read, "Work nights with my favorite person, kiss mark, #blessed, #team vibes." My stomach clenched. The timestamp read Thursday night, one day after our fight. I told myself I was overthinking, that it was professional, that I had no proof. But I couldn't stop replaying every red flag I'd ignored. The sudden late nights at work. The way she guarded her phone like it was a vault. The secret smiles at text notifications she never explained. And now this. I didn't sleep that night. My mind kept spinning, building scenarios, arguments, accusations. By morning I made a decision. I would know the truth. Amber invited me to her place that Saturday night to talk things out. She said she wanted to start fresh. I almost said no, but part of me still wanted to believe her. When I arrived, her apartment looked like a magazine spread. Candles flickered on the coffee table. Wine glasses waited. She greeted me in a silk robe, her tone soft, contrite. "I'm sorry for what I said," she murmured, touching my arm. "I was drunk, stupid. You didn't deserve that." For a moment, I almost believed her. We talked for a while, quietly. She kept looking at her phone, flipping it face down every time it lit up. Who's texting you? Asked. She hesitated. No one. Just work stuff. I smiled faintly. Work stuff at 10 p.m. on a Saturday? Her jaw tightened. You're doing it again. Snooping. Distrusting me. This is why we fight, Ethan. She turned away, walking toward the kitchen. You make me feel suffocated sometimes. You always assume the worst. But her phone buzzed again, and before I could think twice, I reached for it. Don't, she snapped, spinning around. My hand froze inches above the screen. Why not? I asked quietly. Because it's private. That's funny, I said. You used to share everything with me. What changed? She didn't answer. Her face was pale, her lips pressed tight. The phone buzzed again. One new message flashed briefly across the locked screen before it dimmed. Nathan, can't stop thinking about last night. You drive me crazy. My heart stopped. Amber lunged forward, snatching the phone out of my hand. It's not what you think, she shouted. But I already knew. The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush air. I turned and walked out without another word. I drove aimlessly for an hour, my chest hollow, my hands shaking on the wheel. It felt like I'd been living in someone else's life, watching it fall apart in slow motion. Every memory, our first kiss, our late-night talks, her promises, all of it played like a movie reel in reverse, unraveling until there was nothing left but noise. When I finally parked by the waterfront, I just sat there, watching the city lights blur on the water's surface, wondering how something once beautiful could look so broken. Part of me wanted to scream. Another part wanted to go back, to forgive, to pretend I hadn't seen that message. But I couldn't. For the first time in 3 years, I didn't want to fix her. I just wanted peace. And yet, deep down, I knew this wasn't the end. Not yet. 'Cause I'd seen something else on that phone. Something that didn't make sense. A message above Nathan's text, half deleted but not completely, still lingered in my mind. It read, "He's starting to suspect. We'll have to be careful tonight." The words burned into my mind like a brand. He's starting to suspect. We'll have to be careful tonight. Careful about what? Careful with who? I sat in the car long after midnight, staring out at the reflection of the city lights trembling on the black water. My thoughts tangled in a loop of disbelief and fury. Amber had cheated, that much was clear. But that message hinted at something worse. Something planned. By morning, exhaustion hit me like a brick. I hadn't slept. My phone vibrated non-stop. Texts, missed calls, even a voicemail. I didn't listen. I just watched the screen light up and fade again, over and over. Finally, around noon, a new message popped up. Amber, please, Ethan. Come by tonight. I need to explain. I can't let it end like this. Every instinct told me not to go. But curiosity, the cruelest kind, drove me. I needed to look her in the eye one last time. I needed the truth, even if it shattered me completely. When I arrived at her apartment that evening, everything was quiet. The curtains were drawn. Her car was outside. I knocked once. No answer. Amber! Called. The door creaked open. It wasn't locked. Inside, the lights were dim. A faint smell of perfume hung in the air, mixed with something else. Something bitter, chemical. I stepped inside cautiously. Amber! Then I saw it. Her phone was on the coffee table, next to a half-finished glass of wine. The same wallpaper glowed on the screen. Her and me, smiling. Something about that image made my stomach twist. It felt like a lie carved into glass. Picked up the phone. This time it wasn't locked. Maybe she wanted me to see. Maybe it was bait. The last open message thread was with Nathan. Nathan, he'll come tonight. You sure you want to do this? Amber, we don't have a choice. If he finds out about the money, it's over. The blood drained from my face. The money. I scrolled back. The older messages blurred into a story I didn't want to read. They'd been transferring money. My money. When I'd started my small design firm last year, I'd trusted Amber to help with finances. She'd been the one organizing client payments, sending invoices, managing accounts. I was too focused on creating to double-check everything. Now, seeing those messages, the puzzle snapped into focus. The business trips, the sudden new clothes, the unexplained withdrawals. It was all there. I sank onto the couch, staring at the phone in disbelief. I wasn't just betrayed. I was robbed. And that's when the bathroom door opened. Amber stepped out slowly, wearing a black coat over her silk nightgown. Her face was pale, but her eyes were cold, composed. "I told you not to come," she said softly. "Then why text me?" "Yes." She sighed, walked over to the counter, poured herself another glass of wine. "Because I wanted to explain. You deserve that much." "Explain what?" "That it wasn't supposed to go this far." She looked down at her glass. "Nathan and we needed the money. His startup failed and I laughed bitterly. "You needed my money." Her eyes flickered up. "You wouldn't understand. You were always too small-minded. Playing safe. Designing little logos while I wanted something bigger. I was tired of waiting for your dreams to pay off." My throat tightened. "So you stole from me." "I borrowed," she said, her tone icy. "We were going to pay it back once the new investment came through." "Is that what you call sleeping with him too? Investment?" For a moment her mask cracked. Anger flared. "You think you're perfect. You never listened to me. Never made me feel alive. Nathan did. He believed in me." I stepped closer. "He used you. Just like you used me." Her jaw clenched. "Get out, Ethan." "No," I said quietly. "Not until I get back what's mine." Something flickered in her eyes. Panic, maybe. She put down the glass. "You need to leave now." But before I could reply, the front door opened. Nathan walked in. Tall, confident, wearing that same smug grin I remembered from the restaurant. "Well," he said, smirking, "guess the little artist figured it out." Amber turned toward him sharply. "Nathan, don't." He ignored her. "You really should have stayed gone, Ethan. Now you're just making things messy." My pulse pounded in my ears. "You think you can just steal my life's work and walk away?" Nathan laughed. "Your life's work. Please. Amber's the brains here. You're just the tool she used to get access." Amber flinched at that. "Nathan, stop." "Oh, don't play innocent," he sneered at her. "You were fine with it when you thought he'd never find out." Their eyes met, hers full of regret, his full of contempt. And in that moment I saw the truth. They'd betrayed each other too. I took a slow step back toward the door. "You know what? You two deserve each other." But Nathan's expression darkened. "You're not leaving with that phone." He lunged forward. I stumbled back, the coffee table crashing between us. Amber screamed. Nathan grabbed for the phone, but I threw it across the room. It hit the wall and shattered. Amber's voice rose over the chaos. "Nathan, stop it." But he didn't. He grabbed my collar, pushing me against the wall. "You're not ruining this for me." Before I could react, Amber yanked his arm. He spun on her, his hand raised, then froze. She was holding a wine bottle. "Don't," she whispered. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The air was electric. Then Nathan dropped his hand and stormed out, slamming the door so hard the glass rattled. Amber stood there, trembling. The bottle slipped from her fingers and rolled across the floor. I stared at her, chest heaving. "Was that your plan? To trap me? Threaten me?" She shook her head, tears streaking her cheeks. "It wasn't supposed to end like this, Ethan. I didn't mean to hurt you. But you did." She sank to the floor, sobbing. I was scared. "He said he'd tell everyone about the transfers if I didn't help him. I thought I could fix it before you found out." I crouched beside her, silent for a long time. There was no satisfaction, no vindication, just a cold emptiness where love used to live. "Amber," I said quietly, "you didn't just lose me. You lost yourself." I stood, walked to the door and paused. "The police will find everything they need in your accounts. I made copies before coming here." Her head shot up. "What?" I might be worthless to you, I said, but I'm not stupid. Then I left. 2 months later, I sat in the same restaurant where it all began. The same spot, the same jazz music, but this time I was alone by choice. Amber and Nathan were both under investigation. The stolen funds traced back easily. My company had survived, though barely. Some nights I still thought about her. The girl who once kissed me under the rain, who dreamed with me, who turned my heart into collateral damage. But then I remembered that night. Laughter. The word worthless. And I realized something. She hadn't humiliated me because I was weak. She'd done it because I was the only one who ever made her see herself clearly. The waiter brought my drink. I looked out at the city lights and exhaled slowly. I wasn't broken anymore. Just rebuilt, different, stronger. As I reached for my glass, a familiar voice behind me said softly, "Mind if I sit?" Turned. It was Claire, Amber's quiet friend, the only one who hadn't laughed that night. Her smile was small, genuine. "You look better." I smiled faintly. "I am." She sat across from me. "Good. You deserve better than what she gave you." For the first time in a long time, the ache in my chest loosened. Maybe betrayal didn't destroy you. It just stripped away everything false so you could finally see who you really were. I lifted my glass. To starting over. Claire clinked hers against mine. To knowing your worth. The city lights shimmered beyond the window, reflected in her eyes. Calm, steady, real. And for the first time since Amber called me worthless, I actually believed I wasn't.